Well, it is a chilly day here in Atlanta. Don't let that bright sunshine fool you. It's only 44 degrees here. And that steady breeze out of the northwest, that's a bone-chilling breeze. Here's Joey Logano and team.
All right, guys, 400 miles, a lot of crazy things going to happen here. We try to maintain track position, maximize our day, get our points where we can. Race for a win at the end. You got it, man. We're ready. Good luck.
A lot of nerves going into a race like this. It's just different. Daytona Talladega is always different than any other one, but this one in particular, you talk to these drivers, there's not a lot of room out there on a 1.5-mile racetrack. We've talked about it, we've grinded it into you. I'm telling you, even from the view, Tony, when you get up here in the booth and look down, she's pretty narrow out there.
Well, when they reconfigured this racetrack and added banking to it, the only way to do it was to take the apron and move it out to get the banking. You didn't pick up the outside of the racetrack. You just moved the inside further out, which made it narrow.
Pace car on pit road. 400 miles, new distance for the spring race, and the green flag's in the air.
The old crossover worked already. We've seen that a lot of times. Logano and his team, his teammate Austin Cindric let him up. I think you're going to see them maybe migrate out. I think the line is very interesting on this racetrack. I don't think you want to be caught in that bottom lane very long.
Oh, Blaney moves up in front of Keselowski to stop the advance of the outside lane.
It also puts those three teammates right in a row.
Penske 1, 2, 3.
As we see with the leaders there, as soon as he made that move, his teammates in front of him made the same move to keep those three tied together.
It's risky. We talked about it. Qualifying. Two guys literally spun out in qualifying. The last time these guys were in these cars, they were a handful in qualifying trim.
Right. B.J. McLeod and Christopher Bell both spun on their qualifying attempt before taking the green. Fords 1 through 8, Larson Chevy in 9th, Hamlin the first Toyota in 12th.
The Toyotas are what I'm going to have my eye on today. Talked about the speed in the Fords. It's pretty obvious. Look at them. 8 out of the top 10 right there. 2 Chevrolets, a Ford. Chevy, you got to look clear back to Hamlin in 12th. You just said. I think he's going to figure it out, though. He had a lot of optimism in that pre-race with us out there on the front stretch.
Half in front. Half.
Driver's eye camera on Denny Hamlin. 137 beats per minute. His baseline heart rate 53.
He told us in the pre-race show he thought that was going to be a lower number than that. I don't think he realizes how much they get amped up. This is definitely unique. This is one of those places that you have to be on your toes. There's no time to relax. There's no time to catch your breath. You have got to be on your toes the whole day.
Well, whether you're a long distance runner, a trainer, working out in a gym, you know your heart rate and what the difference maker that makes. Do you imagine having 140 to 160 heart rate for 3-4 hours here? That's a game changer. You don't realize it, though. Like you said, Tony, when you're in that car and you're grinding and working and moving and using your mind, you don't focus or think about the fact that your heart rate is just about as fast as that old car is going on the racetrack.
5 laps, and almost everybody had migrated up to the top side of the racetrack. That's Harvicking on the bottom.
That's right.
That's his favorite place here at Atlanta. He's been very successful here in the old configuration. He can run the bottom better than anybody.
Well, and the other thing is, much like we see at Daytona, Talladega, when they get stretched out and they're all in one lane, there starts to be, slack in the chain, holes in the links. And if you can fill one of those, get your run and fill that hole, that's the key. But the problem is, if you don't get up, you're in trouble, just like we're seeing with Kevin. He's going to need some help.
Micah McDowell coming in the low. He was leading the low lane. Chastain on the left, Hamlin on the right from the driver's eye, and Harvick backing up.
Finally get some help there, Kevin. Backed up to probably 10th place, getting a run. Got that bumper of McDowell pushing him, and now she takes back off.
And I think part of that is these guys, like you mentioned, have not had practice. So How are you going to learn what you can and can't do? You just got to experiment, and this is a good time to do it early in the race.
So we asked NASCAR about no practice at Daytona, Talladega, and here at Atlanta, the 3 super speedways, and they said it was at the request of the team owners. So, team owner, tell us about it.
Yeah, it's just literally the cost to operate these race teams is so high. Being able to take that practice day out saves the teams a lot of money. And it's more than just the race cars. It's hotels, it's rental cars. All those things add up during the season. So these guys know what to do. They know when they go to Talladega and Daytona what they've got to do in the car.
Sorry, buddy, I'm a race fan. Don't care about what it costs. I want to be entertained. And here's where I'm going to say to part of this equation. Show me where extra practice time puts on a better product. In my opinion, it doesn't. Don't want to talk about cost, none of my business. But the simple facts are practice don't make a difference.
Well, and it actually got to where we didn't run in big packs in practice anymore. We picked our teammates, we went out with our teammates, and that was it. So practice wasn't a good show. It wasn't a good product for the fans.
Kyle Busch back in 18th position, right about, oh, trouble.
Bubba Wallace in the wall. Way too early for this, 10 laps in.
Happened midway down the back straightaway. First caution of the day.
Oh, he's stuck too.
I see it. Right side tires, man. Get your commitment line back here. Yeah, back on the splitter. 10-4. I'll get you a push.
It's like he got loose on the outside of Kyle Busch. Don't really know why. Outcome is he's loose and in the wall in the backstretch. Off of 2.
Wallace was running 19th.
Yeah, all by himself. And early in the race like that, he probably knew before that instant that he was loose and was probably having to guard it. He probably moved to the top side, not only for the speed, but if your car's loose, you move up, you're not tugging on the wheel quite as hard.
Here's his DoorDash onboard cam.
You hear him pedaling it. That baby come out from underneath of him. You heard him starting to pedal it with the throttle. The rest is history. Turned him right around. Now you're going to hear a lot of frustration if they open that radio.
You're watching his hands right here on the steering wheel. Oh, big correction to the right.
Did you see him reach down and kick it out of gear? That was a good move. Has his foot on the clutch, trying to save the car, save the engine. Unfortunately, ended up on the wall.
NASCAR on Fox is sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Save when you bundle auto, home, or motorcycle insurance. And by Ford. Built for America. Working the first caution of the day for Bubba Wallace's spin as you watch our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear, powering the race from green flag to checkered flag and every mile in between. Goodyear, more driven. Nobody headed for pit road where Bubba Wallace sits. A few in the back. Looks like about 8 cars in the back will come in. Now the damaged vehicle policy, which is normally 7 minutes for teams to make repairs and get their car back up to minimum speed after a crash. Teams were told in the drivers' meeting that here at Atlanta they will have 8 minutes rather than 7 due to the added length of pit road and the time it takes for a car to get back to the pits.
That just tells you how much they've added to pit road. They've added a whole minute to the damaged vehicle policy. A lot of those guys you saw pitting, some of them were probably on a pit sequence, but I'm going to tell you, a lot of them were doing exactly what Bubba's car was doing. Not happy with their car and wanting some adjustments.
Ryan Preece, Ricky Stenhouse, Martin Truex, Corey LaJoie, and others will pit under this caution flag. Big story of the week, Hendrick Motorsports. Penalties last week at Phoenix. Before anyone was on track, the hood louvers that exit air. There were the point standings after Phoenix, after the penalties. All 3 of those full-time Hendrick drivers, Chase Elliott sidelined with injury, dropped, and the crew chiefs were suspended for 4 races for modifying the louvers, which are a single source part not to be modified by the teams. Biggest combined fine to any one organization in NASCAR history. Jeff Gordon spoke on the pre-race about it, and here are the substitute crew chiefs for this week, some with much experience: Kevin Mendering, Tom Gray, Brian Campy, and Greg Ives, who Regan pointed out was last year the crew chief for Alex Bowman, now back up on the box.
I think this one's going to be an interesting week. Honestly, I think we ought to just cover this hearing live. I want to see it live on Fox, and I'm going to tell you, I think that there's a chance they get a reduction here. The last time we had one of those penalties, $100,000 and 100 points, was right here at Atlanta, and it was Brad Keselowski and RFK Racing on the 6th. And that was after the race, by the way. You take this back to last week, they didn't even compete. They caught this thing before practice. They showed it to them. They took them after practice, long before they ever competed in qualifying in the race. It'll be interesting.
There's been quite a dialogue back and forth between NASCAR and the teams about some of these single source parts and the quality and the fit and whether new parts are in the pipeline. So notice that all of the Penske teams chose the same lane for this restart. Outside. And to Tony's request, so that this looks like a lineup card that we're used to seeing, we'll do it differently next week.
Well, that's the battle between a driver's perspective and a cameraman's perspective. He sees it one way and we see it the other.
That was pretty funny.
Well played.
All right, we listened in.
Slowed it on exit behind. 10-4. Is it progressively getting any worse or kind of just been that way the whole time? Yeah, 10-4 whole time. Was actually kind of getting better. If tire grip gets better, it might be okay. But cold tire there, it was not gripped enough to hold the aero effect.
You see Andy Petrie and everybody on that box, the crew chiefs, the engineers, sponsors behind them. But Andy Petrie, I circled it right there. It shows just how cold it is here. Very cold.
Looks like they're going hunting. They're dressed for it. All right, ready for the restart. Green flag, penalty to Ryan Preece. He starts out back. His team was over the wall too soon, and Bubba Wallace entered the pits when they were closed.
New sheriff in town. Who's that 5 car? Where'd he come from, Tony? Got a Chevrolet up there amongst these Fords.
Well, because a lot of the Fords took the outside lane for the restart. That gave Larson an opportunity.
That's exactly right, and why we like it.
We're going to add the choose at COTA next week. The choose rule is going to be in effect in road courses too.
Choose rule implemented in the super speedways this year and the road courses played a role in the Daytona 500 finish. I really do believe that. It was a decision made and played a role in it, and I think it will again here today.
I think it's something that's been a positive change. I think it's been neat to see guys that want to take a chance and advance their position on the restart, where guys get passive and they like the group they're in, they just stay in that side. But I like the risk takers, the guys that want to take a chance. You get a couple spots on a restart and then you get a caution. Now you're in a way better position.
Well, look at the difference it made with Kyle Larson, obviously, and then look down on the bottom. Here comes Denny Hamlin. That Toyota we were talking about back there in 12th, that Toyota's slowly but surely marching methodically to the front.
Hamlin, the only Toyota in the top 15. Tyler Reddick is 17th. Reddick not feeling well this morning, excused from the drivers' meeting. John Hunter Nemechek standing by in case Reddick needs relief today. Christopher Bell plus 11.
Whoa.
All clear, half fast.
That's how it accordions on these super speedway drafting style track. You heard a big time lift out of them. Start stacking up ahead of you. That spotter that you heard in your ear, he's the one that has to show. You can't see, Tony, 4 cars in front of you, but he can.
Yeah, you can't even see one car. You see the car in front of you. You don't see the car in front of that one. So it is hard. You have to have that trust and faith in those spotters.
That line stalls in front of Corey LaJoie, the Celsius onboard cam. And here's Ty Gibbs, who got into the wall in qualifying, had to start out back, as did Christopher Bell. Bell qualified 10th. But they had to replace the strakes under the car when he spun off track down to the apron on his round 2 qualifying attempt. So he also had to start out back. That's why Bell is our biggest mover so far.
So there's no doubt.
Outside.
There's no doubt that outside line is the preferred line. But we talked about the tight constraints of this racetrack. Tony, how do I get to the front if I'm in the back? You're going to have to move down and make some hay on that bottom lane.
Well, first you've got to have a good driving race car. If your car is balanced, it gives you the flexibility to move that bottom line. There's a bunch of these guys right now early in the race that haven't pitted yet because of such a short amount of time under green that their cars probably don't drive really great right now. So the guys that have good handling cars have the ability to move around and take those chances. You talked about it. Once the accordion opens up a little bit and you get holes, you'll get in there.
Let's go to Jamie Little on our leader.
Well, Mike, the big question coming in was, okay, these Fords and Penske in particular qualified great, but how will they race? Well, I talked to Joey Logano's crew chief, Paul Wolf, about that subject, and he said, hey, we all have different noses. Every manufacturer went down a different way. This year, he said the nose that we have on the car allows us to lower it for qualifying, be fast there, raise the nose, and have good adjustments and a better reaction from the race car. Because of that, they thought this car was going to drive really well, and so far, no issues, nothing on the radio from Joey.
He's about to have his first challenge for the lead. Hamlin up the inside, 3 wide behind them for fourth rather.
This Kyle Larson is not wanting to follow the leader and follow in line. He's going to make some moves, obviously 3 wide because of one of those moves. It shows you there's grip in these cars. Pretty comfortable running 3 wide so far.
Makes me nervous this early in the race, though.
You mean being like 4 inches of the car beside you and the other car on the other side of you at 180 miles an hour? Is that what you're talking about?
Exactly.
Wow.
They won't run 3 wide if their cars don't feel good. So that's a sign how good these guys' cars are driving early in the race.
184 miles an hour that last lap, 3 wide for third here in Atlanta. Joey Logano has led every one of 24 laps under green so far.
Enjoy an ice-cold Coke Zero Sugar as you cheer on your favorite Coca-Cola Racing family member. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
NASCAR on Fox is sponsored by the Credit One Bank NASCAR American Express card. And by Verizon Frontline, built for 5G, built to make a real difference on the front lines. 29 laps complete. Joey Logano has led them all. Still right in front of outside pole sitter Austin Cindric and Ryan Blaney, his Penske teammates. Here's the Coca-Cola Racing family of drivers, led by, of course, Logano. With Hamlin in 6th, still fighting on the inside. Austin Dillon 14th. Daniel Suarez 23rd. Bubba Wallace, the only car laps down, spun and hit the wall on lap 10. Booty Barker's crew made repairs. He's back out there, but 2 laps down. All other 35 cars on the lead lap here.
Guys, I'm watching, the pack, where we're running. Really no surprises at the front of the field with the Fords. After the Ford dominance in qualifying with the 3 Penske cars leading the field, Keselowski was fast. We talked about him, Hamlin, Chastain, Bell. Some of these guys that when I watched these races back from a year ago, even the super speedways, even Daytona, the 500, Chastain and that Trackhouse bunch, some of these guys towards the back of the pack, they're in trouble. They're needing a pit stop to get some adjustments, I'm thinking.
Christopher Bell grabs another spot. Regan?
Well, Mike, Tyler Reddick, as you mentioned earlier in the race, not feeling very good right now, and a little bit of struggle inside that race car with the handling. Been complaining about a very tight race car, especially up top, as you see him sliding back in the pack some right now. And John Hunter Nemechek, who is the driver on standby for him, he is standing on top of the pit box. He is fully suited up and ready to go if need be, but the team told me they will not ask Tyler about it at all today. It's up to him completely.
Look at that heart rate. Only 110 beats per minute at 188 miles an hour.
Well, you don't feel good.
Oh, okay.
And it's pretty calm right now. This is the calm before the storm, but this is the calm that I expected, quite frankly. All these Cup drivers, these are the best of the best that NASCAR has to offer in the Cup Series. They just watched yesterday's racing. Truck Series, still learning. A lot of rookies out there. Xfinity, the same thing. There was some melees out there, yard sales. They were wrecking left and right all over the place. These guys see that, need to clean this thing up, get these things to the end of the race. They want to be a part of that win, not the part of the crash at the beginning.
Now, of the drivers that made pit stops at the lap 10 caution, 2 have made substantial gains. Ty Gibbs up to 18th and Martin Truex up to 13th in his Toyota. Now right on the bumper of Christopher Bell for the 2 leading Toyotas in this race. Chevy's 8, 9, 10. Hamlin, in 5th. Otherwise, Fords. 6 out of the top 7.
I'm watching Truex Jr. there, and I think he's taking advantage. He was one of the guys we saw him put 4 tires on and get that adjustment that he was looking for. One of the only cars, in that tail end of the pack that took some adjustments and took advantage of that pit stop. Moving to the front made a difference.
I'm still mesmerized by the guy in 11th with Christopher Bell. Starting from the back, has not made a pit stop. Had a car that was extremely difficult to drive, as we saw yesterday in qualifying, and has worked his way up to 11th already. Look at his head here today versus yesterday. His head was bouncing around like a ping pong ball. They definitely made the right adjustments today. He's definitely comfortable. I've been watching him. He picks that low line when he gets a run and finds that hole and gets himself up there again.
Well, Tony, you're spot on, but one of the other guys, and you're not going to want to hear this, your car, 14, Chase Briscoe, he's definitely off the pace, not happy with his car. Something's going on with the 14, moving to the back. Lost 19 spots just in the last few laps.
Regan?
Well, Mike, you guys mentioned that 14 car right now, and he has got a lot going on. The front is tight, the rear is sliding, and he said he thinks it's all aero. Not really sure how they're going to fix that for that race car today right now, but he is struggling out there. Sorry about that, Tony.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Regan. Thank you. I appreciate everyone's concerns and well wishes.
38 laps complete. The Penske Fords, 1, 2, 3. Logano, Cindric, Blaney. Okay. Welcome back to the Ambetter Health 400 on Fox. Joey Logano has led every lap today, 44 of them. That is more laps than he has led in every race so far in this season. Austin Cindric, Ryan Blaney right with him, then Keselowski. Hamlin, the first Toyota, in 5th. And Kyle Busch up into the top 10. He's the first Chevy in 7th. It was Kyle Larson, but no more. Kyle made this move, and look at the result.
Well, he made the move. Okay, didn't work. Get me up, spotter. I need to get up. I need to get in that line. Having trouble. No holes there. Here comes Busch by. Trying to side draft Tony. Maybe a little bit of hole here. Nope. Look how long it takes. If you make that move and it doesn't work, you don't fill that gap and get in that slot, you're in big trouble. Freight train comes by you. Give me a hole, spotter. Where's the hole? Now watch this. Look at that stack up on the outside. There's the hole. Fixed it. But the stack up.
This. Thank you.
Take me back to the stack up, though. That's all it takes to really shake things up. Always have to be on your game inside that car, but more importantly on the roof. These guys, they're earning their keep as a spotter today.
So Larson is now back up to 9th, but he's still on the bottom now. He's going backwards again, and a lot of this is.
Whoa! Did you see the 10 car? Sorry, that was big. Yes, man, take your breath away. I want to see his heart rate monitor. Eric Almirola, the Stewart Haas cars in general, all of these cars. You heard us talk about Chase Briscoe already, but his teammate Almirola's off the pace. The 4 cars off the pace. Their package they come up with that they thought was going to be the heat. It was yesterday with the speed, but so far, 48 laps in, they have a handful.
And a lot of this back and forth is due to drafting. Let's take a closer look with Larry Mack and the Toyota Cutaway car.
Even though we're at a 1.5 mile racetrack today at Atlanta Motor Speedway, the speeds these cars are running, you'll be able to see them work together in a draft. So to explain the draft, let's go to our Toyota Cutaway car and our Toyota Tech Center. This is what a car out front looks like as far as the airflow, making front downforce and rear downforce. It's poking a pretty big hole in the air, so that trail car that's starting to approach it, it's starting to feel the effect of the air coming off that lead car. The closer it gets, it starts to take rear downforce off the lead car, front downforce off the trail car. As they get this close together, they're almost working as one unit. The more cars you can get lined up in a draft, the faster they're going to go. And Mike, one thing about that lead car, the reason it's poking such a big hole in the air is that big old 7-inch tall rear spoiler.
Thanks, Larry Mack. The top 5 drivers in this race have 20 wins on NASCAR's drafting tracks. And there is the spoiler cam. The Monster Energy cam on board Ty Gibbs.
No gaps up front, the ratchet. No gaps out back, to slide back in.
10 laps to go in stage 1. They have enough fuel to go the distance, and we'll take one Fox side-by-side break right here. Welcome back to Atlanta. This is our new Fox Race Tracker up at the top, and I'd like to hear what the keyboard warriors think. This shows you the progress of the race in bar graph form as it goes along. It's going to morph over underneath the Fox box so you can tell at a glance where we are and how the race has progressed with just the one caution flag so far. Kind of get used to it, and let me know what you think on it. You know where to find me on social media.
Well, I think it's good because look, it just shows you so much. You know, as we cover, you know how many laps to go to the stage, you know where the stages are. More importantly, strategy-wise, you know where those cautions came out. That's what I like about that bar and the way I use the tool.
Brad Keselowski holding fourth behind the team he used to drive for. Here are the points coming in. Kevin Harvick, the overall point leader. And then everybody is stacked by wins and then by points from there on back.
All right, talking about points. Coming to 2 to go in this stage. Business is fixing to pick up going after these stage points. Watch this.
So far, only Larson and Harvick have really ventured to the bottom to try to make passes, and they've certainly had mixed results. Good for a while and then would fall back in the group. Right now, the 10th place car is Daniel Suarez. He would get the last stage point.
Well, much like you see in Daytona, you see that chain getting bigger. Everybody says, hey, that guy's coming, move down. Now all of a sudden that lane gets bigger and bigger and bigger as you get the closer you get to the front, just like you see Bell holding the charge right now. Who else is going to take that? Here it is, Tony.
Final lap, stage 1.
Those teammates door to door for second.
Blaney trying to make an advance here, but he's on the bottom. Keselowski edges him in the corner, and then Hamlin
made a move, and his teammate Cindric didn't go with him.
Here they come to the line. Joey Logano, who's led every lap so far, is going to win stage 1 from Cindric, Keselowski, Blaney, and Hamlin. The other stage points go to Bell, Busch, Buescher, Suarez, and Truex. First stage win of the year. And at Atlanta, Joey Logano's led all 60 laps. This is the football you live for, the real deal. Official start of the new season of the USFL is April 15th and 16th on Fox, FS1, and NBC. Stage 1 complete. Joey Logano, the leader, ahead of Austin Cindric and Brad Keselowski, waiting for the pits to open. There are the points as they were awarded at the end of Stage 1. And Bubba Wallace, the only car laps down, he will get the free pass.
Pit area is going to be tough. No mistakes. Long, long, long pit road. Kind of puts me behind the wheel, Tony. Very difficult. I mean, it's literally double what it used to be. Half this racetrack, half of a 1.5 mile racetrack is pit road.
Can you imagine how antsy these drivers are going to be when they peel off and cross that commitment line? How long it is going to seem.
Well, one of the drivers that marched toward the front was Kyle Busch, restarted 17th and currently running 7th. Let's listen in.
So where everybody's at on fuel here, all those guys in front of you are going to need to take even more fuel. Drop the jack down. You're going to go on not the jack, okay? I want to get it full here so we don't have to put near as much in it. It looks like if it's going to go green flag, that's going to be a lot longer. You're going to have to spend on pit road under green, so I'd rather get it full here.
Fantastic point. And that's a product of being back in the pack, you know, utilizing that where you're lifting a little bit, saving fuel, as opposed to Logano, Cindric, and his teammate Blaney. They were up there wide open throttle the whole time. They're going to have to take a lot of fuel right here, more than the guys mired in traffic.
Well, last week, the top of the pits, Kyle Larson's team. And what a day they had. Every pit stop, they either held station or gained positions. Their crew chief is Cliff Daniels. Under suspension, the interim crew chief, Kevin Mendering. But the over-the-wall crew, Blaine Anderson, Brandon Harder, Brandon Johnson, and all there, they got it done last week in the desert in Phoenix.
That's all you can ask for. Put me out front, give me an opportunity. They did that. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for them, but they've been knocking on the door 2 weeks in a row. They were so close.
Pit stop rankings led by Kevin Harvick's team overall for the season so far. That long looping apron is all part of pit road, 45 miles an hour.
We see all the drivers lined up on the right side to the outside. If depending on where you're at, or if you're on the inside or outside, it's going to change the distance, which is going to also change the pit road speed. So those guys, when they do the recon lap, they figure that out.
Regan.
Mike, it's been a great start for Chris Buescher. His team had some concerns about where that race car would be after 10 laps because of how fast it was in qualifying. No concerns right now for him. He will wait on fuel, and Kyle Busch, you heard them saying that they're going to wait on fuel. This was part of their plan coming into the race, was to get as much fuel as they could every stop. Jamie?
Austin Cindric in the 2. Jeremy Bullins, his crew chief, calling him in and out of the pits. Car's pretty good. Wait on fuel, 4 tires. Joey Logano in the 22. Car got better balance as they ran. He's led every lap so far today, Mike.
Well, here's the race off pit road, sponsored by Ram. Kyle Busch is out first. However, Kyle Busch has had speeding penalties in 3 of 4 races this season, and I can only hope that that one had the right number of lights lit up on the dash that time.
Big reason why. We heard it. We heard the conversation on the radio of Kyle Busch. His crew chief told him, we're going to take less fuel than those guys up there. It's exactly what you saw out front, Kyle Busch.
One sign of spring, you're home for Saturday baseball. MLB on Fox. All season long, the biggest stars and teams square off in the biggest games on the best day of the week. Major League Baseball action returns Saturday, April 1st on Fox. Kyle Larson's stop. A little bit of upset there.
Whoa, whoa, get that fuel jug. Look at that guy blocking it.
Nice save.
Stayed in the box. Good save, boys.
Now, we talked about Kyle Busch's stop, and he was the first car off pit road. They were going to have a timed stop and wait on the fuel can to make sure they got it full. However, they said Kyle took off. And that's why he is the leader, but questionable whether or not he has a full load of race fuel.
Well, we know somebody that can tell us. Potentially.
Andy Petrie. We'll try to get to him in a bit here.
See if I can get him on the radio
on the box.
A little bit.
Brad Keselowski next to Kyle Busch. Blaney, Cindric, Logano 3-4-5 as they approach the Geico restart zone. Truex, Hamlin, Bell, Buescher, Suarez, the top 10 as we go back to green.
Lone wolf up there, Kyle Busch. Let's see what he can do. No dancing partner. Ford surrounding him. Toyota down there in Truex. How does he manage this? Big time gap for both of these cars. Good connection, both lanes.
A big run on that outside, those two tied together.
Logano got off the bumper at Keselowski. Keselowski needs to get up here. Huge run by Truex on the bottom.
One lap and the amount of cars that move from that bottom lane to the top. I mean, those guys know that early in this race, that line is the line that's moving right now. They're trying to get up there and get that spot.
Not a good feeling, Tony. Leading this race in that Chevrolet, Kyle Busch. 1, 2, 3, 4 Fords behind you, but they're not going to stay in line. Logano going around Keselowski, going to try to get in that line. Better get up quick. Filled, no chance, didn't get it done.
Keselowski fills the spot on the outside, and then here comes Austin Cindric. So Logano down in that bottom lane.
Power move by Ryan Blaney.
Tried to come down and give a little draft to Logano to catch up, and then came back up to cover the spot. Larry Mack, I'm wondering, was Logano's stop a little longer because after leading all those 60 laps, he had burned more fuel maybe and had to replenish it?
Yeah, Mike, there's no doubt he was the one driver that was running wide open that entire first stage, and his stop was 14.14 to Kyle Busch, who was 11.1.
But Logano wants the lead back.
That's exactly right. I'm not seeing any cooperation manufacturer-wise, team-wise, or whatever. Logano, Keselowski, it's every man for himself. I really thought those 4 Fords stacked up would spit Busch out as that leader, and that's the way they would play it. They didn't. Logano went around, made a move trying to get to the front. Another move.
Kyle Busch
trying to get back to the point. Wants them laps, wants to lead them laps.
Well, he had that lead for about a quarter of turn 2, and then the outside lane formed up. And Blaney got right to him. They're going to be even coming off turn 4.
I think it's going to be important for him. If he's going to do it, he needs to do it quick. Get back up in line. I think you have time on that bottom, but that time is limited. I think when it gets time to a long run, after 10 laps or so, you better be on that outside lane or you're going to wish you were.
Well, there's an awful lot of cars that got down to that bottom line and said, hey, we want the track position. We want to try to work our way forward, getting cleaner air. It's evened up. It's doubled up 2 lanes wide again.
They've also had a time to make an adjustment on pit road. That Hot Rod's feeling better, comfortable.
Well, Tony, what's the difference in the draft from 10th, say, to 15th or 20th or 25th?
Well, talking to the drivers, the cars just don't drive as good. They have less air, less downforce, less stability, and that's the biggest factor is the stability. So if you don't feel stable and don't feel comfortable in the car, it's hard to tug on that steering wheel and move around. So you need to stay up toward the front.
Clint, is it more of a problem the further back in the pack you get?
Yes. Yes, for so many different reasons. A lot of layers to that question. You know, the tight constraints of this racetrack. We talk about, you heard me say it a million times, it's very, very narrow. You're just mired in traffic. You're in a traffic jam with no place to go until something happens. And if that something is a big wreck, guess what? It's in your lap and you're in it. You don't want to be back there. That's the eye of the storm. You want to be right there where you're watching Kyle Busch getting that push from Logano back to the lead. It's going to be interesting, though. They're the ones, you heard him say, they didn't get the fuel in that car they wanted to. If this thing goes green, they're going to be the ones that have to pit off cycle from everybody else. Might put them in a bad situation. Riding with Corey LaJoie, oh so close last year. So what's cool about this race, these drafting style racetracks, it's anybody's game. Corey LaJoie almost proved that last year, getting his first win right here at Atlanta.
LaJoie riding 15th, right in the middle of the storm. Joey Logano wanted the lead back, had it in the back straightaway, and Kyle Busch nips him at the line to lead lap 76. Look at this 2x2, no give, no take. Because there's nothing to take, and
but
there's little to give.
Larson gets down to the corner and the line checks up. You can't just slam on the brakes. So you have that real estate to the right. He chose wisely, moved up. Didn't cost him any time. Didn't cost him a position. So
and he was lucky that Reddick did the same thing.
Exactly.
Reddick didn't have anybody behind him. It afforded him the opportunity to lift. You know, that's the hardest thing. When you're up there in the middle of the pack, you can't lift. You can't do that. If you do, you're going to get run over. If something happens in front of you in a situation like this, Mike, it's hard, but the first instinct better be look in the mirror and see who's behind you.
77 laps completed at Atlanta with Joey Logano back in command.
Fixed it.
on a sun-drenched, chilly day in Atlanta. We're 25 laps into this 100-lap stage 2. 85 laps total be completed next time around. Joey Logano has led 71 of them. The question is the car running second. Kyle Busch.
We need to figure out this fuel situation. It's killing me, and I have the answer. How about this? Andy Petrie, it's Boyer and the boys up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, Clint, I got you. How you guys doing?
Well, I'm wanting to know about the fuel and how you're doing, more importantly. First of all, you look cold, warm, however you want to sell it, but it looks bitter cold out there. Nonetheless, all right, here's the deal. You wanted 5 seconds. We heard on the radio. You got 3 seconds. How many is 2 seconds worth of fuel going to less laps out there on the racetrack?
Well, the plan was to fill it, wait just a little bit to get it full, but it looked like Kyle wanted to get going to get up there and race these guys for the lead. So we're probably about 2 gallons short. That should be, we're roughly getting 6 miles to the gallon, so you kind of figure it out. But it's a trade-off either way. We got track position now. We'd have to have given it up to get it full. Now we'll just take this. We'll have to stop a little bit longer on the next one. Hopefully we don't take too big a hit.
So the driver made that call for you. Wanted that track position, huh? Never heard of such a thing.
Yeah, we talked about it. We said, let's go on to Randall. Jack came down, he was gone. Randall sitting there going, well, I guess go. Anyway, worked out good. Our guys did a really good job, made a good quick pit stop, and that's why we didn't get as much fuel in it.
All right, man. Well, maybe a caution will come out or something. You won't need it. But nonetheless, car's fast. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, man.
So Larry Mack, you are looking at throttle traces and other data transmitted from these cars. Compared to Joey Logano leading, what's Kyle Busch's throttle trace look like right behind him, and how much fuel might he be saving by being in second?
Yeah, Joey Logano, his throttle is flat line at 100%. Has been every time he has been out front. Now, Kyle Busch, he's rolling out of it to about 40% in turns 1 and 2 to about 60% in 3 and 4. And right now, I'm showing that Kyle Busch could go about 5 laps further if they're head-to-head on full of fuel, which we know Kyle Busch is not. Kyle Busch could go 5 laps further than Joey Logano right now.
Okay. 89 complete. And which of these drivers will have the best finish at the end of the race? This is one of the Super 6 questions to win Clint's cash. There are the 6 drivers.
Last chance, guys. Stage 2, Fox Bet Super 6 app. Get on there. Free to play. $10,000 of my money. Who's it going to be? Best finish at the end of the race. Kevin Harvick, Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex. Who was the last one? I didn't see it. I was trying to talk.
It's the leader, Joey Logano.
I would pick him. I would definitely pick him, guys. There's my tidbit.
Oh, it's a good thing.
Inside.
It's free to play. Now we know it's cold in Atlanta in the grandstand, so the wave originated in Detroit at a Detroit Tigers game on a day that was nowhere near as cold as this one. Not getting a lot of audience participation there, but it's early. Jamie.
Well, Brad Keselowski finds himself running up there in the front of the pack and 4th right now. I talked to Brad Keselowski just about the uptick in performance this year. We talked about him a lot, and of course, he's been running better than his finishes show, and I asked him, where have you improved the most? He said, our pace. We can stay with the others better now, longer. Our cars have more speed in them, and it's showing here today. He's been able to stay up there. Said the car is really balanced. He's happy with it. No complaints at all. It's been a good, nice uptick for the 16.
Well, he has been the best car in race long, Jamie, that did not come out of Team Penske. And his teammate Chris Buescher right behind him.
Look at this overhead. You see how that line's really starting to deteriorate, getting a lot of open spots? That's handling. Look back here. This guy, he's having trouble in holding and stacking that line up. A lot of gaps in this chain. Boys are still struggling with handling on this racetrack. Kevin Harvick told us before the race, heard from a lot of these drivers asking them, what can I expect? What do you expect out there today? And drafting is the #1 name of the game, but every one of these drivers told me still have to handle. I think you're seeing that right now.
Ryan Preece, you saw just going 1 lap down. They are having voltage issues in their Ford. Bubba Wallace is 2 down. 34 cars in the lead draft after 94 laps in Atlanta. Yes, the racing is that close. Bristol Dirt coming up April 9th, one of those tentpole events on Fox. Talladega, April 23rd. And Stock Car Racing's longest night, the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte, May 28th. I know which one of our guest analysts got to pick first this year. Smoke, going to join us for all 3 of those.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited to go to Bristol. I really want to be in a car there, but I'm excited to watch this race and be in the booth with you guys.
Glad to have you. And tickets are available for the upcoming Bristol Dirt Race on April 9th. Go to bristolmotorspeedway.com and get yours.
Challenges these teams, that dirt race. One-off race like that, always a surprise. You know, last year was just wow factor galore, left and right everywhere you looked. And I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I'm telling you, much like a rule change does with this Cup Series, every time you change the game, so to speak, it really shakes things up. And I think that dirt race at Bristol does just that.
Watching Brad Keselowski and Denny Hamlin on the right. Tony, moving that dirt race to Sunday night, how is that going to change the complexion of things?
I think it'll make the racing just that much better. The thing about dirt racing versus pavement racing is it needs moisture in the dirt. So at night, that moisture comes up, helps with the dust, but makes the driving conditions way better for the drivers.
Sunday drive at 185 miles an hour. Corey LaJoie on the left, Christopher Bell on the right.
Pretty smooth at the wheel so far. Those cars are handling well. Again, just single file line right now.
Ross Chastain,
storm. See
Ty
Chastain.
Gibbs.
Sorry.
That's right.
again, it just kind of, it's the calm before the storm.
But it also shows the difference from what we saw yesterday with these guys. Their hands moving around a lot more. The cars bounced around. Their heads bounced around. Much calmer today.
Ty Gibbs reached over and put his drink straw back in his mouth. That's exactly what he did. You saw him reach over, grab that straw, stick it back in his mouth, get him a drink of water.
Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace.
Bubba Wallace, if you're just tuning in, was our first caution, got into the wall, struggling with the handling of his race car. Off the pace a little bit here so far. Might be able to get back in the game. You never know what's going to happen at the end of this thing. Remember looking back, watching this race from a year ago, Chastain was a huge part of this race and had bare bond, the whole left front fender knocked off of it, and was holding his own, Tony, on the bottom lane all by himself.
Chase Briscoe, the Mahindra Tractors Cam, 30th place, but only 4 seconds off the lead. I say only. Looks like a long distance from here, but he's still in the draft. He's still competitive.
And he's got time to work on that car. You know, handling issues early that we talked about. Every time they get a chance, all you got to do is make it to the end of the stage or make it to the end of a caution. Hopefully you're not the caution, but take those opportunities to get the balance where you want it to be so you can move around at the end of the day.
And we saw toward the end of stage one, all this single file parade went out the window. Everybody wanted to gain track position, gain stage points, and be in a position to get a pit stop and come back out toward the front. Christopher Bell riding ninth. We listened in.
Guys, if it stays green, we'll do right sides in one full can. We'll need the whole can, and then at the stage we would do left sides in one can, and we would be full.
Well, Clint, you asked in the meeting about left side tire changes, who would take left sides only, and something I guess typically we only see on the super speedways.
Well, this is certainly an opportunity, usually on a repaved racetrack, a track that has a lot of grip, affords you that opportunity. Seen it over the years. I can't remember back to Kansas Speedway. That was a part of a conversation. You know, Daytona, when we repaved that, and now certainly Atlanta opens the door up for a quicker two-tire stop for sure on the pit road.
.108 laps complete. Joey Logano closing in on 100 laps led today. He leads Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney, Brad Keselowski, and Chris Buescher at Atlanta. Welcome back to the Ambetter Health 400 on Fox. 115 laps complete. Joey Logano out front of Kyle Busch and Ryan Blaney. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear, powering every lap, every mile, and every victory on the road ahead. Goodyear, more driven. Pit stops for the leaders, if we stay green, might be about 15 or so laps away, Larry says. So be a good time for a chilly March Sunday, Atlanta. Crank it up on Fox.
Group's supposed to move down as you get closer. Small run, half, 1.5. There's a chance as you catch this group of 4, you're going to catch the slower 41 as well. You ready for it to call the shuffle here?
Too wide like
They're going to catch the slower 41 as you're catching them. So 3 back coming middle. 2 back coming middle. 1 back coming top. You clear down, outside. Still up top. You got about 10 more in this line, then you got a gap for about 20 car lengths to a second pack.
Bit of a tense moment there for Joey Logano as he came up on a group of about 5 cars to put him a lap down. They suddenly went single file trying to improve position, but Logano prevailed with Kyle Busch and Ryan Blaney right behind him. We'll be back for green flag pit stops. Welcome back to Atlanta. 35 to go in stage 2. Austin Dillon had difficulty entering pit road, came around, made one more lap, might have run out of gas. He finally did get to his pit and get service. And here's the other RCR car, Kyle Busch coming in. Remember, they did not get it full on their last stop. Martin Truex coming with him. Regan.
Well, Mike, the 8 car of Kyle Busch, that race car obviously had to pit early, as you said, because it wasn't full. He's happy with the race car, though, has been all day long since the first run of the race. And the 19 of Martin Truex Jr., he had no fuel pressure when he came off of turn 2 that last time. They had to pit immediately. Car was no grip earlier, but better right now.
Cars are running out of gas. Business fixing to pick up. You think this thing has gotten tame? Watch this. I'm telling you, pit road is going to be extremely difficult for so many different conversations. One, the pit road timing that we've talked about, getting your marks right, not getting caught speeding on pit road. But I'm telling you, getting into that line from no man's land, not a lot of reference points coming off of turn 2 with a huge head of steam, Tony. Getting that thing loaded up, that's going to be extremely difficult for these drivers. And if you get caught, boy, you're in big trouble.
Normally, we're used to seeing guys pitting off of the corner versus at the end of the backstretch. So I guess the only thing I can think that might be similar to this is Daytona and Talladega, where you have a long distance between turn 4 and pit road. That could be the only saving grace. But to your point, it's hard to see down there. The only reference I can see is the green light there at the end on the inside wall that shows them where pit road
First time we've ever seen this on this racetrack.
Absolutely.
Never a green flag pit stop. And I'm telling you, these guys have never seen that either. No experience. The difference between Daytona and here, they've done it 20 years plus, some of these guys.
So let's go back to yesterday in qualifying. Each car left its place in the qualifying line and then had to brake to a complete stop before they drove out on the track. NASCAR said the reason they required that because they wanted drivers to practice pit road entry and pit road speed at turn 3 after they completed their qualifying lap. I only saw one driver do that. So this is kind of driving into the great unknown, making a green flag pit stop, entering the pits at turn 3 on the back straightaway on this now very fast racetrack. Here's Keselowski coming in from 3rd place.
Now it's all about strategy. Larry, Kyle Busch running, like, obviously just pitted 2 laps down. Could that be the saving grace for him? Can he win this stage? What's the play here? What do you want out of me?
Well, he needs this thing to cycle through all the green flag pit stops. That's going to be his saving grace. We've got to see everybody out there make a green flag pit stop for Kyle Busch, Martin Truex, all these drivers making their pit stop right now into green.
Corey LaJoie in, Ty Dillon making his stop.
I think it's going to be very fun to watch this. There's a lot of things to lose here. And I guarantee you every single one of those crew chiefs are telling them drivers do not get caught speeding. But if you push it a little bit, you can gain a bunch of positions.
Jamie.
And Brad Keselowski brings it in. The balance has been pretty good. He's been happy with the 6. They're going to wait on fuel. No tires here, just enough fuel to make it to the end of the stage.
J.J. Yaley's made his stop. And there's a large group of cars. They are looking like I-75-85 through downtown Atlanta on Friday afternoon. Barely moving at the apron of 3 and 4.
Here's your leaders. Now the Penske boys, they came together. Logano, Blaney, and Cindric all together. Boy, it looks slow there, Tony. Long ways around there.
Painfully slow.
45 miles an hour. And then once you get to pit road, it's a long way down for these cars. Logano, Blaney, Cindric, and B.J. McLeod. Jamie.
And Ryan Blaney will be the first to pit of those 3 in the 12. Little bit free early on, but gets better. He doesn't want to make any changes, doesn't want to spend any more time on pit road than he needs to. Right side tires for him, for Austin Cindric, and Joey Logano, who's led the most laps today, takes right sides.
Cody Ware in and out. Chris Buescher now the leader. We're not seeing manufacturers or teammates pit together here as we did at Daytona.
The Penske cars came together, but we've had guys kind of cycle individually, I think it just gives them a little more room to not worry about getting in trouble at the end of the backstretch.
The other thing we're seeing here, mind you, these cars that are staying out, they're starting to get close on fuel. One of those things hiccups and doesn't run, stumbles, you're going to get run over. That could be that caution that's detrimental. Or talk about detrimental, 12 car, Ryan Blaney speeding on pit road. That is exactly what those crew chiefs told him not to do. Big time penalty, probably 2 laps at least for Ryan Blaney.
Well, 2 laps down on the pit stop. He's going to lose at least another lap on the penalty drive.
That could be game overville for him.
So the first 17 drivers have not pitted since lap 64. Blaney was too fast on the apron in turn number 4. Regan.
Mike Daniel Suarez, that race car is a little tight with the nose of it. As you see him stalling it, trying to get off a pit road right there. Didn't want adjustment, so he likes it where it's at in the pack.
Ricky Stenhouse in. He's going to get right side tires and fuel. And another group of 4 or 5 coming again at a snail's pace.
That was your leaders.
Yep.
Busher. Oh, got another one. You're not going to like this, Tony.
Ryan Preece, commitment line violation. Uncontrolled tire for Cody Ware. So all of those are pass-through penalties at 45 while everybody else is doing 185. Eric Almirola in. Michael McDowell finishing up. Regan.
Chris Buescher has been up front all day long. No changes earlier in the race. No changes right now. There was some concern about what that car would do over the long run, but it's been very good so far in the 48 of Alex Bowman. That car takes off good, but it gets tight as the runs go on.
Man, there's a lot going on.
William Byron in. Christopher Bell is the race leader from Kyle Larson and Noah Gregson. Regan.
William Byron spent the majority of that run saving fuel. They felt like it would pay dividends by being able to pit later. Fuel only for them.
So Jamie, how long can Christopher Bell go?
Well, that is the question. Adam Stevens, his crew chief, just told him on the radio, let's run this as long as we can. And Christopher came back. He said, all right, we're pretty good up here. I don't need any changes running up front. Remember, they had talked on the radio about when they come here, if it's under green, they're thinking about doing left sides only and trying right sides then at the end of the stage.
So due to green flag pit stops, the only cars left on the green lap are these 2, Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson. And here's Larson.
Bell's pretty happy right here. He gets the draft. He gets to go part throttle again. May not save him another lap or 2, but he gets to stretch this out just a little bit longer.
This is exactly worst case scenario. Have to be prepared for it. Here comes Bell.
Now at the commit line, he needs to be down to 45 miles an hour there. Yellow line to yellow line, pit road speed.
I think, like I was saying, have to be prepared for this scenario. This is the strategy that we see at Daytona Talladega. However, history, we don't have much history at this track, but what we do have tells you no chance we're going to have a green flag pit stop. Cautions all over the place. We watched yesterday with cautions all over the place. Last year, both races had a lot of cautions. Didn't even get close to a green flag pit stop. Look what we have here.
Kyle Larson in and Christopher Bell coming to the head end of pit road. Ryan Preece going to make a second stop as they actually he's going to make his pass-through penalty. And here is Bell coming to a halt. Jamie.
And Christopher Bell, since he stayed out and led laps, he got 5 laps led there. They bring it to a stop. They'll fill him up with fuel here, just enough to make it here with 19 laps to go before stage end.
Well, that is going to put probably 22 cars back on the lead lap once we have now fully cycled through pit stops. And Joey Logano is going to be back to the front.
Bell's going to join back in. I think he's going to get freight train though. Last to pit. Here it comes.
Be coming.
Off at 2. Leaders are coming, and they're coming in a hurry. No chance he can pull up and block.
5 back.
Going to have to watch them blow his doors off. There they go.
Out.
Strategy didn't quite pay off for his team.
He is still not yet up to race pace. He'd probably tack on to the back of this line here. And that will put him behind Corey LaJoie in 14th position.
All clear.
So he was 9th prior to the pit stop cycle, so a net loss of 5 positions for Christopher Bell.
Yeah, but they got to gamble a little bit. You got to try. Got to learn.
Right. Joey Logano back to the front. He's now led 118 of 143 laps today. Coming up to lap 150, Joey Logano back out front. Big winner in that round of pit stops was Tyler Reddick. They took fuel only and are now running third. Picked up a total of 24 spots as Ryan Blaney is about to go 2 laps down after serving that penalty. William Byron also got gas only. So did Al Bowman, Keselowski, Josh Berry, Corey LaJoie, Christopher Bell, and Kyle Larson. Fuel only.
This is going to get very interesting. You see Blaney, Burton, and Austin Dillon right there in front of your leader, Logano. They're going to start pressing here. 10 to go on the stage. Those guys are going to have to get very wide, make their cars wide and block all the while these other guys are trying to race for this stage end. They're going to be a factor in who gets points and who doesn't, and possibly whether a caution comes out or not.
They may run out of gas.
Oh my gosh, and the 3 car could run out of gas right in front of you as a leader. That's something you don't want to hear.
Well, so let's give you the flip side of pit stops. Kyle Busch lost 13 spots. on that exchange. He took 4 tires. Ryan Blaney had to make a penalty drive-through, lost 30 positions from where he was before pit stops, and Ricky Stenhouse lost 9 spots on that exchange. Stenhouse in 23rd. We've got 30 cars back to Austin Dillon on the lead lap. Here's your Xfinity fastest lap, which happens to be Ricky Stenhouse. How about that for Team 47? Kyle Busch, Todd Gilliland with those fast laps. Drafting helps.
Well, and it's no surprise on these super speedways. Usually the fastest lap comes from those guys in the back that can get that run, that big head of steam off that massive pack in front of you, especially when they're 2, maybe even 3 wide in front of you. Punches a huge hole in the air. Advantage goes to you. But you can't do much with it.
No, not at all.
The Xfinity 10G cam giving you these pictures from Tyler Reddick, who was ill this morning, was excused from the drivers' meeting, not feeling well. The team says we're going to leave it up to Tyler. John Hunter Nemechek on standby if needed, but sometimes just getting up to speed is good medicine for a driver who is having a rough morning.
Well, you get that helmet on and you get the adrenaline going. You race hurt, you race sick. I mean, it's just what drivers do. That's what they've always done.
What really stacked those guys up going around a lapper, I think it's Cody Ware. 3 wide right here with Bowman and Buescher.
Yep, Yaley on the top side.
Wow, very close to Truex. Look at the push. Josh Berry.
Hamlin. Yep, Berry and LaJoie. Well, we're coming to the end of the stage. Business is picked up.
Yes, sir. Money on the line. Points on the line. They're
Track
gonna go
position.
Get them.
Clear.
Something I feel like's interesting at the front of this, though, is you see the 3 cars of Austin Dillon, Ryan Blaney, and you see Logano behind that. That gap is opened up, actually, and I can't figure out if Logano is trying to back that group up so he can focus on the cars behind, or what's going on.
Well, much like we see in Daytona and at Talladega, sometimes 4, 5, 6 cars, a little bit smaller line is more efficient than that big line that gets that slack in the chain and have to lift, push too hard, hit the brakes, slam on the brakes. It's kind of common. I've seen that quite a bit.
Well, I also wonder, it's his teammate. So is Logano taking care of his teammate and trying to help him out here? But it's such a risk with all those guys stacking up behind at the end of this stage. I just don't know. Well,
we'll see with what happens on the inside line. That's Denny Hamlin and Corey LaJoie. If they're able to gain a lot of ground, that means Logano's hanging back a bit.
Well, 2 to go here, Tony. When's the time to go? I need these points. I'm desperate. I want some points. How do I do that? What's going to form, and when do I jump on board with it?
Well, I think if you were hanging back, you got to go now, because you can't afford to let somebody get a run and get beside you and pull you back.
Logano's not even full throttle on the backstretch, Larry says. There's 12 cars packed up there, 10 stage point positions at stake, 1 lap from now.
I think that's smart for Joey Logano. The closer he gets to that pack, it gives those guys behind him an opportunity to utilize that draft as well, just like him. He's trying to slow them down, keep that gap in front of them. That helps him manage this lead. Final lap, here we go. Who's going to make the move?
Leader's full throttle now.
Look at that gap.
Look at that. There it is. Reddick's going for it. See, now they close that gap. Gives them that opportunity, just like I was talking about.
Coming to the flag for
Austin
stage
Cindric.
2.
Awesome. That's exactly. Bowman comes in for the push.
Austin Cindric, your stage winner from Tyler Reddick, Logano, Bowman, and Byron.
As he approached that group, it stacked him up. He had a decision to make. He can't block them both ways. You got to go high or low. Unfortunately, didn't get high enough. His teammate, he was trying to protect that bottom, gave his teammate an opportunity, a window to get to that outside, slipped around him, took the stage win out from underneath of him. And Reddick on the bottom. Maybe didn't do the best with that one. We're going to go back to work. Need to go back to the drawing board.
So Blaney stayed 1 lap down. Austin Cindric for Team Penske gets his 2nd career stage win. Next Sunday, the NASCAR Cup Series takes a right turn. It's going to take a lot of right turns. Over 3 miles of twists and turns at Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. Race day, 2 p.m. Eastern, FS1. It moves to Fox at 3 and the green flag at 3:30 on Fox. And here are our guests. Kurt Busch, the 2004 Cup champion, and Haas Formula One team principal, Gunther Steiner. Of course, COTA is the home of Formula One in the United States. Now with a lot of company. So Austin Cindric, who almost got himself into a big pile of lap cars right there at the flag, is our pod's big move of the race. Here's a look at it as they came to the flag.
Well, you got Reddick on the bottom side of him. One other option, go to the outside of Logano and just let that baby breathe and let it run.
Well, and the third one is stay in that wake, that draft behind you or in front of you. You know, there was 3 different things he was weighing out there. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him. But I think more importantly, it's because of that gap that closed up and afforded to those guys that opportunity to pounce on that situation. Timing is everything on a race like this.
Austin Cindric will lead them in. Well, you got choices here. 4 tires, lefts, rights. Is track position or tires? Which would you rather?
Larry, don't let me down. I need you now more than ever. Make the right decision,
I got
buddy.
fired after Phoenix, so I'm going to have to try to recover.
No.
You didn't get fired. You fired everybody else.
I think Kyle Busch will do something other than 4 tires because they lost a lot of ground. They were the one car that did 4 tires. Everybody in front of them was either fuel only or right sides.
Good point. Good opportunity for them.
Yes. Here are the stage points earned today with Logano and Cindric trading the stage wins.
Give you an idea where Kyle is right there.
Regan.
Mike Alex Bowman, a great run at the end of that stage. The car got a little bit free after the green flag pit stop. He will wait on fuel. They did not wait on fuel on the first yellow flag stop. They have to this time, according to crew chief Greg Ives. And the 45 car of Tyler Reddick, he needs a little bit of grip with that car, but the closer he gets to the front, the better it is. Jamie?
The 2 of Austin Cindric just picked up his first stage win of the year. A little bit tight in traffic. Wants to go back on the air pressure adjustment from last stop. 4 tires here. Joey Logano, 4 tires as well. Wanted to be freed up just a tad with air pressure.
Eric Almirola with no tires wins the race off pit road. There's a gamble.
That's one way to fix your track position.
Absolutely.
Need a little bit of help. You know, it's time to start strategizing. We're down to the 3rd stage of this. I need the track position. Where does it come from? Make a bold move on pit road and give it to me. Hope for some gain here.
Stage 3 to go. NASCAR on Fox is sponsored by Toyota. Let's go places. Getting ready for the 100-lap Stage 3. Here's your Progressive race summary. Eric Almirola took no tires. He is the leader. One of 8 today. 10 lead changes, 31 lead lap cars, including the free pass car, Austin Dillon, and 3 caution flags. The only one for cause was for Bubba Wallace's spin back at lap number 10. Now, during this round of stops, Chris Buescher too fast entering, so he'll start tail end of the field. And Tyler Reddick did not get his car full, so they came and made a second pit stop. He will restart back at 31st. BJ McLeod also made a second stop. He left the pits on the first bunch of stops in 15th position.
Blown away here, guys. Watching this race after sleeping on yesterday's activities, if you want to call them that. Unbelievable what happened yesterday. I mean, we had to use a different caution flag. They wore this one out yesterday, and with having that thing out in the wind all day long. Flags wear out, Tony, when you use them too much. Got us a new caution flag, and they haven't even used this one today after that.
We said that in the NASCAR meeting this morning. They said, we have more flags.
Well, they're using
all
it.
Right.
And now I think it's a typical super speedway race. Not at all what we saw yesterday, but this race is not over.
So 2 cars at the back, Ty Gibbs and Austin Dillon, have come in to top off fuel. Eric Almirola, like most leaders today, has chosen the top lane. Joey Logano will restart alongside. Cindric and Stenhouse, row 2. Bowman and Byron, Harvick and Hamlin. Regan?
Mike, just to update on the 45 of Tyler Reddick, they went to put the second can in. It plugged into the car, but the fuel wasn't flowing out of the can. That's why they had to do the second stop to come back down. And you can't stay out with a low fuel load right now. We see how much of a risk that is to lose those 2 laps.
Well, how much are tires worth? We're going to find out with Eric Almirola and his 10 being on the front row. I think it's going to be fine. I really do. You know, with the track, as cool as it is, a 47.
So Almirola with no fresh tires, Ricky Stenhouse with 2. They are your front row for this restart as they approach the Geico restart zone for Stage 3.
Back to the point, though, you're going to see really quickly if they have the grip to hold on, because this 22 is going to be pushing hard.
Keep in mind, we saw the 45 of Tyler Reddick not take tires and just do fuel, only got track position and was able to hold on to it.
Side to 22, you're still clear. Bottom lane's pushing now.
You see Eric did not pull down in front of that bottom line, elected to stay on the outside. I agree with that. Got some forward help. And one of those is Logano, that's been class of the field so far today.
Ricky Stenhouse was...
But the 10's fast too. Fine riding second here. I don't think we need to lead right now. Okay, that's my answer.
Logano?
Stay here some fuel for a while.
Logano's
told
radio.
Me that like 2 laps ago. Let's talk about it. But still thinking through it.
Ricky Stenhouse went from 4th at the choose to the front row, choosing the inside.
Going back
to the leader.
Going back to that radio communication you heard in Logano's car. Yeah, that's fine. I'm fine riding behind the 10 in second. The problem was the 10 wasn't fast enough. The inside line, pushed by William Byron into Stenhouse, got up in front of them. Now all of a sudden, crew chief, I'm running 4th. This is not where I wanted to be.
Well, I don't think it's terrible to be there 4th in that line, but you darn sure don't want to move further back than that.
I tell you, moving, Denny Hamlin is moving. Can't keep it down, getting into 3, sliding up the racetrack. Can't slide up too much. Going to get in the side of that very car we're talking about in a situation that he may or may not have wanted to be in, Joey Logano.
Ricky Stenhouse is only the 2nd Chevrolet to lead today. Kyle Busch led 7 laps earlier. Christopher Bell's Toyota led 6. Otherwise, it's been all Fords at the front.
Well, Denny Hamlin's trying to change that, and look, the 7. Here comes LaJoie, Corey LaJoie. Talked to him in the pre-race show. Almost won this race in July. Look over your shoulder, and there he is, marching to the front. Could be his day. Redemption time, Tony.
He was so excited about this race. So knowing what I'm sure he re-ran that last lap last year so many times in his head. He wants to be back in that position to remedy it.
Well, he had a strong car. And you see him driving right to the bumper at Denny Hamlin in front of him. I think that car is strong again.
Yes, sir.
Picking up right where they left off.
Ricky Stenhouse out front won the Daytona 500. William Byron has gone to victory lane the last 2 weeks in a row. And there they run 1-2 for the moment.
I think Ricky's holding that outside lineup. I hate to say that. Sorry, Ricky Stenhouse and all you fans, but why is this inside line led by a Toyota Denny Hamlin all of a sudden faster than him, and Ricky's really making some blocks inside and outside?
And here comes Byron, who won this race last year.
How do you beat them Fords all stacked up there? 8 out of the top 10 in qualifying. You get in front of them and get wide. That's exactly what you see Stenhouse doing. Outside block, inside block.
He is known as a very aggressive plate racer, and you're seeing it right here.
You know how cautions happen? Blocks. There's a close one.
Not like that.
That was way close.
2 by 2, 2 by 2.
Look at the joy. Look at the pushing.
You think of the restart we had after the first stage. Tried to get single file, but then they doubled up real quick, and then it took about 6 or 8 laps before they started losing to that top line again.
3 wide, fellas.
3 wide, middle of the pack. And it's,
whoa!
Who's been 3 wide more than anybody else today? Kyle Larson in the 5. Here it was again.
He put Keselowski in that 3 wide scenario. Keselowski all but got into Eric Almirola in the left side, left rear. Right in front of the field. That is not what you want to see. They're getting antsy, Tony.
Well,
a lot of 3 wide here. Desperation.
Now LaJoie's going to need some help. First car on the inside, and it looks like he's going to get it. But they're 3 wide behind.
It's coming.
Why now? 84 laps to go. Why are we ran single file for laps and laps and laps. Why are we 3 wide now?
Buddy, I'm tired of running single file. I want to lead. I want to get up there. Saw that Logano leading all these laps. My turn. But
and guys,
patience is a virtue, and nobody taught that better in my career than this guy standing right next to me. Somehow. I can't believe you're a patient human.
But I think a lot of these guys, too, have had different moments of the race where they've been toward the back and realized how bad their cars drive back there. They want to get up there while they have fresh tires, get that track position, hopefully get himself in a position to maintain it.
Look what, I hear you, girl. I hear you. Look what happens when those guys get 3 wide, though. You saw that 3-4 rows of 3 wide back there. Look at that. Now look at the front of the pack. Single file, and they're driving away from them. That slows you down. Big time. A lot of difference there. That's exactly what those leaders wanted to see.
To the back behind you, the Bubba wounded.
Well, last time this happened, it split the pack in 2 with a sizable gap between. So far, not yet. So to keep an eye on it all, we're going to take you Fox side by side with 81 laps to go in Atlanta. Well, they were orderly in single and double file, and now it's 3 wide again.
Finally got that Stenhouse. They were working on him, man. He was blocking for all his worth. Finally missed one of them. They got around him, and man, now we're in big trouble.
Hamlin, Byron up at the point with Harvick on the inside.
Harvick's the one that made the move. He was tired of riding in that single file, made the move, kind of created that scenario.
Now, those 3 all restarted in the top 10. Look at the one. Ross Chastain has come from 25th on the restart into the front 5.
Oh!
Contact.
LaJoy and Gregson is where the contact was.
Chris Buescher, recovering nicely from that penalty, is up in the top 10 after restarting 28th.
Now you're starting to see what these drivers have. The aggression's picking up. They're getting way more aggressive behind the wheel.
I want this spot.
That was
You want it worse than me.
closest you get to a hook in the right rear and put you in the wall.
However, Joey Logano's led 135 laps of this race. Now he's mired in 20th position and cannot advance. And Austin Cindric.
Gregson finally in the wall, trying to make, trying to make that 3 wide scenario work. Tried it with LaJoy getting into 1, got all the way back around there to 3 and 4, still trying to finally got in the wall. Desperation. Probably not time for it, like you said, but nonetheless, trying to get to track position.
Well, the Penske cars dominated the first half of this race. Now Logano is 18th. Cindric is 30th, and Blaney with a penalty 1 lap down, 32nd.
And I don't even think it's desperation as much as this is just how much these guys are planning, of how you can't sit there and wait any longer to the end of the race to start working your way up there and trying to establish that track position. You got to go now.
I want to hear Tim Fedewa. Let's.
Whoa! He got turned by Chastain, and around they go.
Your brake.
Kyle Busch is around.
Josh Berry, Buescher into the wall. Josh Berry, a lot of damage on the front of the 9. That's all it took. We were just fixing to say, let's listen in to Tim Fedewa, talking into this blocking situation. The one got hard into his left rear and just turned him around. Harrison Burton, toe link broke in the right rear. Heavy, heavy damage for Buescher. I'd say his day's done. I don't know that Harvick's got a huge amount of damage to his car, believe it or not.
Well, it spun around 360 degrees and then got centered up with some side contact, but
well, there
we're
it
in
is.
big trouble here.
It shows me
got a lot of skew in it there.
Toe links broke on the right rear of that one.
Here's the 4.
You okay over there? Yeah, he just got me loose. Yeah, he knocked out of here right when he shouldn't have.
Yeah, the one car kind of tends to do that sometimes.
Pretty aggressive.
Let's have a look. On the inside, first 2 cars on the inside.
Well, look at the gap. First and foremost, closing in on him pretty hard. It wasn't on his left rear, though. Kind of moved across the rear bumper, I will say that.
He did a good, he closed in at such a high rate going into turn 1. It wasn't like he just went in there and drove into the back of the 4 car. He got it woed down, but he was there and trying to give that push, and it just, like you said, he started on the right side, and then as it moved to the left side, that's when the car switched.
I think that's just aggression picking up. And that's, he did. I think his thought was right. Got on the right rear. I don't think it obviously wasn't intentional. And when he got to him with that head of steam, it got Kevin starting to get sideways. And by the time it was all said and done, now you're on his left rear, Tony, and where you really don't want to be. And look at the disaster.
All right, here's the Advent Health cam and radio in Ross Chastain's car.
There's the right rear.
Got any damage? No, sir. I didn't touch him. All right, be saving gas under caution.
Bubba Wallace.
Check apart, check apart.
Well, it was pretty obvious. the aggression had picked up in a big way, and you knew something like this was imminent. And unfortunately, started right at the first of the pack, and when it does, it takes a bunch of them with it.
Here's the Monster Energy cam, Ty Gibbs.
Did a really good job right there. Didn't have a lot of options and got it woed down. Little slight contact with the 3, but did a really good job of getting through that.
And Tyler Reddick.
William Byron, a lot of damage.
And Chris Buescher awaiting the roll. Well, there's the wrecker. He's got one end. They may have to take that off hammock style. So as they clean up, we'll take a break with 69 laps to go in Atlanta. We've had the big one at Atlanta, lap 189. Ross Chastain and Kevin Harvick got oh so close up there in the corner.
Well, I'm not sure we didn't oversell this thing. We said he got slammed into and spun out. Look at this. You heard Ross Chastain. Looks like there's a gap in between them bumpers to me.
No, sir. I didn't touch him. All right, be saving gas under caution.
Ross Chastain said he didn't touch him. Look, Ross Chastain didn't touch him. Got loose, but he didn't touch him like we thought and slammed into him and turned him around with aggression.
It is so close, and even if he did touch him, I'm going to say he touched him. He didn't slam him by any means if he touched him at all. But like you mentioned, you saw that car of Chastain start from the right rear corner, and when it went to the left side, that's when it freed Harvick's car up.
Well, the reason it did is because Harvick was loose. That's why. Look, the reason you go from the right rear to the left side is because Harvick is extremely loose in front of you and chasing up the racetrack. Hey. Everybody's quick to judge old Ross, and including me. I called that as he slammed into him, turned him around. I was corrected in a break and got a chance to dissect the replay.
Even if he touched him, it was so light that it's not uncommon for this style of racing at Atlanta now.
It wasn't just an overly aggressive move and turned that leader around.
And look at how many cars were involved there. And those off the track right now include Harvick, Chris Buescher, and B.J. McLeod. Pit road is open, and this could be...
You can make it from here.
Yeah.
You can make it.
Thanks, Larry. Regan.
Like the one car, Ross Chastain made big changes last time. Those paid off. Obviously, that car went from the back to the front. Left side's only for him. A quick stop there. And the 45 of Tyler Reddick is told he only needs 3 seconds of fuel. Jamie?
And Denny Hamlin in the 11, a little bit tight. Overall today, a little loose up front. It was no tires for him. Eric Almirola, they didn't take tires last time. They said more of the same. We've got contact on pit road, Mike.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin exiting his pit. Ty Dillon trying to get into his pit, and they had substantial contact.
Look at this. Chastain's in the grass.
"65 laps to go as things get heated here in Atlanta." NASCAR on Fox is sponsored by the Credit One Bank NASCAR American Express card. 64 laps to go under caution for the big one at Atlanta. Here's your aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Powering every mile and every moment on NASCAR's road to victory. Goodyear, more driven. That is a hardy crowd. I don't know if they're frozen to those seats, but you know, Mother Nature has her way of things. And William Byron, winner 2 weeks in a row, gets a ride on the crash cart here. He's okay. Everybody okay after what happened there in the backstretch, but Byron is going to be one of several cars eliminated. Now here's Ross Chastain trying to get out and into pit road, and he's going to go do a little farming out here.
2 inside.
In the grass.
Checking up.
Might see a new rule coming. I don't think there's any timing lines out there, Tony.
He did a really good job holding a nice wheel through the grass, though.
Should have floored it.
Now we had 25, 26 cars on the lead lap. Denny Hamlin trying to come out as Ty Dillon coming in. Who's got the right of way there?
Well, they both do. The hard part is, especially when you come in and you're just taking fuel only like that, you still have the back of the guys coming in as the leaders are pulling back out.
You can't have an intersection with both of them having the right of way, Tony.
You can in NASCAR.
It never works. Look at the tire marks out there.
Ross was
Never
out
give
there,
up.
and Kyle was going to keep him out there. So Josh Berry and Martin Truex are going to start at the rear for pitting before pit road was opened. Ryan Blaney got the free pass on that caution, lap 189. 62 to go. Now Joey Logano, we mentioned he was stuck back there in 20th place when that all took place.
This is why.
I should have gone down there as soon as you lose. You're about saving damn fuel. I got to go up there. I'm stuck in the little tight there in traffic. Copy.
All right, let's go back. Go back when they went green. You heard us talking about listening along with Logano. They said second place is okay here. Why is it? Because you can save some fuel back there. Well, second place ended up with fourth place when Stenhouse and whoever it was got up in front of them. Uh-oh, now we're losing more track position. Well, now this thing doesn't handle like it did when I was leading the race the whole time. I'm in big trouble. Now there's a caution, and I'm way in the back. Now he's frustrated, exactly what you heard on the radio.
He's going to restart 13th.
Unraveled out from underneath of him in a quick hurry.
Now Eric Almirola pitted, but again did not change tires. Larry tells us he's got 45 laps on those tires already, and he's got 62 laps to go.
Hang on to it, bud.
I don't want to hear that as a driver.
Hang on
I'd rather
to it.
just not know.
Keselowski moves up with the choose to the second row, and here we are, first row, and here we go.
You're clear. 5's not clear. He's 2 feet off of you. He's still not clear.
He's clear now.
You saw Kyle Larson pushing hard on Eric's back bumper, the 10. Have to be careful. Going back to Daytona, the Ford, a little bit more rounded nose on the front of the Ford, pointier on the Chevrolet and the Toyota. That plays a role. When push comes to shove at the end of these races, knowing who's behind you, I think that weighs on a driver's decision. You know they're all going to be pushing. Who can push better than the other?
5 cars knocked out in that crash. Checked and released at the care center. Harvick, Buescher, and McLeod waiting on Harrison Burton, and you saw William Byron getting a late ride over there, but everybody okay.
Big shot from Reddick into Keselowski. Look at the momentum. Sometimes a big shot like that, Tony, can hurt you a little more than it's not an efficient bump draft. They drive off from you and just kind of slows you down.
Well, it's just a bump. It doesn't really generate a lot of energy to really propel you forward that well.
Not much of a net gain for either car.
Exactly.
Well, let's find out what happened in that big crash. Here's Jamie.
Well, Kevin Harvick's been racing and winning at Atlanta since 2001, unfortunately out of this one early. What did you feel inside the car when the one of Ross Chastain was behind you?
Yeah, I don't know that he actually hit me. I think he was just so close to me that, you know, it just kind of took the back tires. He just caught me right in the middle of the corner there. And then the way that he got to me right there, I think he was just barely on me, and the way he came from the right to the left just took the back of the car and spun it around. So just a weird deal. Back tire started chattering, and it turns into a tractor, and you just hold on.
Thanks, Kevin.
57 to go. There's Chastain right in the middle of it again.
Got spit out.
Yep.
Keselowski had a move on him, got to his outside.
He tried to get in that upper lane, and that hole closed up, and it held him to the middle.
Now he's trying to get in the bottom. That hole's closing up. Kyle Busch has filled that hole. Desperate now. I need help.
Busch, Chastain, and LaJoie 3 wide, and then Stenhouse right with them. Back to Jamie.
And William Byron has been checked and released. 2 weeks in a row you win. This time you end up in a wreck. How do you describe the racing that we saw, especially up front there, that led to this?
Yeah, it was super speedway type racing. I thought for the most part it was pretty single file all day, and that was a little discouraging because the bottom lane wouldn't really go that much. But as we all started to save fuel on the top, the bottom started to surge there, and it looked like the 1 and the 4 just got connected there into turn 1 and got the 4 loose. So just part of racing, you know, that's the way it goes. Not really in our control. We're up there running the top 5 and doing what we need to do. So thanks to Liberty University, all of our partners, and we'll go to COTA, hopefully control a little bit more there, and hopefully get a win.
Thanks, William.
Every man for himself now. Not really any manufacturer connectivity.
No, look at that top 5, how it's very evenly distributed among manufacturers. But still too wide. Everybody trying to work their way to the front. 53 laps to go in Atlanta. Eric Almirola out in front of the pack. Gamble and Great Day ends up in the fence. They were running 1-2. Here's a look at it.
Blew a tire. You heard Larry tell us 45 laps on them tires. Long ways to go. The only ones that stayed out. Blew a right rear tire right in front of the field. Took out Larson.
Here's from the Coca-Cola Zero Sugar cam on board Denny Hamlin. Those were 72 lap tires on Almirola's car. And from Christopher Bell and the Toyota cam.
Kyle slammed in that wall pretty hard, out of his car. Already loaded up in the ambulance. Frustrated, obviously. Right in front of him, right in his lap. Nothing he could do. Tried to check up. Man.
But importantly, Larson walked away.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, because this is a big hit when this swings around driver's side of the safer barrier.
Eric Almirola out of his car, and he appears to be okay. Oh, Daniel Suarez. Justin Haley involved, Tyler Reddick as well.
It knocked the wind out of me. I don't know how it can keep going this way for us, boys. You keep bringing me fast race cars. One of these days we'll get the finish. Sorry.
That was Eric Almirola. Had the wind knocked out of him. And he gingerly climbs out of the car. Caution out, 50 laps to go in Atlanta. .48 laps to go under caution as Eric Almirola lost a tire. Took Kyle Larson with him. Here's your credit one bank ones to watch, which we've had to completely redo during the commercial break. We were loaded and ready, and this changes almost everything but Clint.
Well, Tony's certainly changed, if you know what I mean. Here's the thing. Brad Keselowski, the one I've been watching him for weeks. We talk about it. The pre-race shows talk about it weekly, getting better with RFK in his 6 car. But more importantly, he told us back to that pre-race, he's going to win this race today. He is leading the race. It's been 66 races since Brad Keselowski's been in victory lane. Hard to believe, but today that changes.
Well, my driver just dropped out. So my second pick is a guy that started from the tail, marched his way up to the top 15 early in the stage 1. He's in position to win this thing again. I'm taking the 20, Christopher Bell.
You open wheel guys stick together.
That's right.
Tyler Reddick had a bad morning. He was otherwise indisposed, missed the driver's meeting, you know what I mean. But he's toughing it out, and winning is the best medicine. Larry.
Yeah, Mike, Ross Chastain is always one to watch. He's been in the back. He's been in the grass on pit road. He's back in 18th, but you know what? He'll be back up there.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with Ryan Blaney. Led some laps early, got a lap down from that pit road speeding penalty, restarted this last run 25th. He's all the way up to 12th in that short run. He's definitely going to be one to watch.
Well, Blaney, now 11th, was as many as 3 laps down as we have pit stops.
Chastain on pit road. Truex, 4 tires. Truex just made an adjustment. See the tires on him. Chastain finishing up a 4-tire stop.
Ty Dillon as well, getting fuel only. Chase Briscoe gets the free pass on this one. Regan?
Well, Mike, the one of Ross Chastain pitting right there. That pit stop was to look at the diffuser on that race car, the piece underneath the car that directs the air. Wanted to make sure everything was there. After that green flag, they fell back a ways. And the 19 car, Martin Truex Jr., has been having a fueling issue in that car. Not getting fuel into it, but it's been burning way more fuel than they anticipated. That's part of the reason why earlier in the race they ran out during that green flag cycle.
All right, 24 cars on the lead lap. Briscoe getting one back there. Here's Christopher Bell's day. He had to start in the back because they changed those strakes and part of the diffuser after spinning out qualifying, so he had to start last. Had a 10th place car in qualifying, worked his way right up toward the front, then dropped way back and climbed up again.
Won't be your typical super speedway type of racing right here. You know, looking down, you talk about dancing partners. That's what we talk about when we go to Daytona, Talladega. You got a Ford, Toyota, Chevy, 2 Toyotas, 2 Fords, 2 Chevys, mixed bag all across the board here. Trying to find a dance of partners out the window. You're Stag. You got to go to this dance and find whoever. You got to find you a new date, Tony.
The World Baseball Classic marches toward an epic finale. The star-studded USA squad, led by Mike Trout and Grand Slammer Trey Turner, takes on Cuba. It's a winner-take-all semifinal matchup. It's tonight, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. 46 laps to go. They'll choose next time around. Bit of sad news to pass along. Alexis Lyris, who was NASCAR's public relations director under Bill France Jr. and opened, in fact, kicked down a number of barriers for women in motorsports. Did a great job there, then went to Melling Racing and did the PR for Bill Elliott through all his winning and championship years. Passed away at home after a battle with cancer. Alexis was 80 and is missed. Let's check with Jamie.
Well, Kyle Larson, you saw the big hit for him there. He's been checked and released. You say you're okay, but what is that moment like when somebody blows a tire right in front of you? There's no way you can go.
Yeah, I mean, you just really have, like you said, nowhere to go. So, nobody had tire issues, so I wasn't even expecting the 10 to have a tire issue in front of me. And even if I did, I didn't have time to react. So, just a bummer, but just frustrating. I mean, I finally up front on this style of racetrack and still end up, with a DNF. So, I don't know, just frustrating.
Thanks, Kyle.
The old choose cone here's making a difference. Just like it did in Daytona. We used to didn't have this at these super speedway type of racetracks. Look at that 22 car. Keep an eye on him. He's hungry, frustrated, wants that track position back. Has been our fastest car all day long. Because of that choose cone, got that new opportunity.
There's your third row for the restart. Logano up there with Hamlin. Joey's led, more than half this race, 135 of 215 laps. And there's Brad Keselowski up front with Alex Bowman.
One of the lines he told us, Mike, told Tony and I in that pre-race segment, he says, we don't need luck to win this race. We just don't need bad luck. That's a pretty good line and something that wasn't in his conversation maybe even 6-7 months ago.
Chase Briscoe got the free pass. He's lined up at the back of the lead lap. or rather 1 lap down. I guess he was 2, now 1 lap down, 24th. 23 lead lap cars to settle this in Atlanta with 45 to go. Keselowski, Reddick, and Bowman, and Bell, and Logano back up in the front 5.
You're going to clear that 48. Tyler is going to clear him as well. You're both clear up. They got a pin now. They pelt him down tight. Both high sides come at the end exit here.
That's TJ Majors, Keselowski's spotter.
Big block. Decided to move up in front of that 48.
How are you going to block them both?
You're going to move down and block him.
One at a time.
Listen to that TJ Majors.
Yeah, TJ's smart. Did an awesome job with Dale Jr. for all those years. TJ is awesome at judging the run and knows when it's time to make that move.
The 2 drivers I feel
Half
are
back bottom, 1 back bottom.
I feel are best here at
Both
blocking.
are moving here. Their positions are coming to the end of high side 48.
At blocking 2 lanes of traffic. Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano.
But it's also those spotters. When you hear TJ Majors talk him up, here they come. It's not a split-second decision. It's not wait. It is immediate. As soon as that TJ Majors clicks that radio, Brad Keselowski has that confidence in that voice and moves up immediately. Does not delay.
He is not clear. They're pushing. They're going to pull his door on exit. You're going to come up to the 48. 1.5. 1.5. 1 on the high side. Here they come. They got better help on the high side still. Back both lanes, half back bottom Tyler. Neither one of them have help here yet. There's not going to be a big run like last time here. 48 high side, 1 back, and then Tyler on there. Here comes Tyler in the bottom.
That
You're still clear.
is working together in good chemistry. It's what it's all about.
And having the confidence that when you hear that, you're comfortable making that move. You trust that spotter.
Here comes Logano. It's the one we were talking about.
The Penske cars have fought their way back to the front once again, and they're lined up on the bottom, 3 of them.
Not clear yet. Blaney is 3 wide. Blaney is 3 wide. 2 right behind you. 3 wide behind you. Middle's the closest.
Bowman
the
spit
closest
out.
now. Blaney's the closest.
Now that's Coleman Presley, Logano's spotter.
Hey, Keselowski's in trouble. You got 3 teammates behind you. If they make a move one way or another, they're all going in a line. As soon as that 22 makes the move, you can bet those other 2 are going with him. For right now, I would stay right behind that lane. If you give that up, it was just on the restart, I'm saying no dance of partners. They all found each other very quick.
But do they have to get to the top? That's been the preferred lane all day.
I'm going to tell you, as long as that bottom lane is as long as the top one, you're fine.
Here they go, up top.
We know the Fords are fast. 8 out of the top 10 in qualifying. They have the speed, and if they can stay together and work together and cooperate, they're going to be lethal.
Cooperation's the key there, though. If they don't cooperate, that outside line will get that momentum back and get them up there.
Reddick and Bell are not teammates, but they are part of that 6 Toyota group here, and Gibbs with them. See if the Toyotas can mount a rally here, working together.
I was going to say, as far as this conversation right now, they're teammates. If I'm Reddick, I want to get up in front of them.
Next 4 cars, 5 cars clear with you on the bottom.
Gibbs, the first of the 3 of them, on the inside, while Reddick and Bell are up on the outside alongside now.
Excuse me, I meant Gibbs. If I'm Gibbs, I'm going to try to get up in front of those 2 guys. Get that Toyota line going. Let's see how we can stack up against those 4 Fords up there. Strength in numbers.
Top still covered. Even numbers out back.
Gibbs is having a tough time in 3, keeping it down. Whoa, listen to that lift. Stacked him up on the outside. Bell into the back of Reddick.
I think that started with Austin Cindric kind of moved up a little bit in the center of turn 4 and
still is. Now you're going to see those 4 Fords move to that outside line, that preferred line, like you were talking about, Mike. Another block by Cindric. Didn't stay there. Blaney's not going to be happy with that one. These guys have shown as teammates, even Logano, I've seen him dip out and go for that lead out of aggression early in the race. For me, what I thought.
Whoa. The push from Reddick there got Blaney just a little bit squirrely.
And his Cindric's car having a little trouble holding the bottom in those corners.
I think so, but the best case scenario is if he's able to be down there by himself, where he's got clean air on the nose to get it turning.
Nose ahead up top, now they're even. Both lanes are even, equal help. Even, top's pushing tighter, Blaney is almost cleared, he's almost cleared, he's cleared. Blaney is cleared to the bottom. Blaney is not cleared now, Blaney is not. Austin's behind, tops and nose ahead with tighter help. Tops and nose ahead with tighter help.
Tighter help's the key there. You want to hear tighter help. That's going to be the decision maker. Look at this, Logano going to the lead.
You'll get help here unless Joey goes with him. Lined up bottom, your closest help's going to be Reddick now. Purple car, 3 back. And Blaney still got you. Here comes your help, here comes your help, here comes your help. Big push.
Logano back to the front. He's now led 135 laps today, while Brad Keselowski, who led only 6 races all of last year, Keselowski has now led in all 5 races this season so far.
Brad might be in a Ford, but he's the odd man out in that conversation. You have 3 teammates behind you. You know when one of those pull out like Logano did, the other 2 are going to follow suit. It's going to be tricky. If I'm Brad, I need Reddick. I'm giving up the Ford camp. They're clearly not going to work with me. Watch this. I'm going to take Reddick back to the front.
Do it on your own.
He's got Reddick and Bell in his wake on the outside.
1 in front, half in front. Mid's still covered. Even numbers front and back. Both lanes that back, even number. Slow on the bottom. Still 1 inside.
Chevrolet has won the last 6 drafting races, Atlanta, Talladega, Daytona. But Ford and Toyota control this one. The best Chevy is Allmendinger in 8th. Pulling up on Ryan Preece, laps down with mechanical issues and out of the way.
I think I noticed with the spotters, and I think it's so important as a driver inside that car. Tension ratchets up right here. Pressure ratchets up. Your heart rate's going. That spotter's timing, his dialogue and his demeanor through his voice stays constant, stays calm, and it gets you calm inside that car.
Keselowski back to the front by half a car length, and Logano surges by on the inside.
Well, we talked about heart rates. Now imagine inside the car, we know as drivers, we can get in and settle into a rhythm and kind of relax. Those spotters, they never get time to relax during the race because even when it's single file, they're watching ahead in case there's a problem. He has to stay high energy the entire race. So imagine all those guys on the roof on a cold day like today, trying to coach their drivers, get them in the right spot on the racetrack. It's physically and mentally taxing for them too.
They might match the driver's heart rate.
Now behind Keselowski, Toyota's 2, 3, 4. And LaJoie has become the first Chevrolet in the race in 6th.
All right. That preferred line. Mike, you're the one that pointed it out. You get back to the outside. Well, those 3 teammates elected to stay on that bottom selfishly and stay in a line together. Brad, forget this mess. You guys don't want to ride with me. I'm going to move up. I'm going to find a new dancing partner, and that's Tyler Reddick. Problem is, who's Tyler Reddick got behind him? Christopher Bell and Hamlin, another Toyota behind them. Brad's the odd man out here, and it's going to be interesting how he can manage this and block and keep that lead.
I feel like the variable in the equation for the Penske cars is the 2 of Cindric. I don't feel like he can stay tucked up tight behind Blaney, and that loses that energy on that inside line.
All right, 27 to go. You're going to see it all as we take our last side-by-side commercial break of this race. Brad Keselowski out front. 21 laps to go. Brad Keselowski's Ford out in front of Reddick's Toyota. Logano and Blaney in Fords. Bell in a Toyota, and Hamlin on the outside. Larry, none of those Toyotas took tires when they stopped at lap 195. What's that going to look like 21 laps from now?
Yeah, Mike, they last took tires at the end of stage 1 at lap 164. Now, since then, we have run about over 20 caution laps. So they're going to be in the neighborhood of about 80 laps on their tires at the end of this race if we don't get a caution.
Now, Brad Keselowski took 4, so he's in good shape for these final 20 laps. Joey Logano took 2 on that last pit stop. So the Penske cars lined up on the inside. They gain a little ground, they lose a little ground on that outside lane.
Saw it getting into 1 with Ty Gibbs riding along the shade. That sun's going down. Always a bear getting into 1, Tony. Oh, bounced off the wall pretty hard.
Ty Gibbs.
Ty Gibbs. Exit. Probably lost the nose up off the corner. Got into that wall pretty hard. Maybe not be able to see. I mean, you saw. Glare is getting very bad for these drivers.
Yeah, late afternoon.
And they couldn't get to Tyler again. Tyler is still clear.
Late afternoon sun, turn 1 has always been an issue here at Daytona since they flipped this racetrack. The backstretch becoming the front
clear.
stretch.
They're 1 off of him, both lanes. Joey got a pretty good shot. Tyler is still clear, staying up. They're inside Tyler now. 1 back on the bottom. 1 bottom. Tyler's going to pull him back. He's still got his quarter. Tyler will have the help on exit still. All right, they're pushing on the bottom and top here. Joey's coming to the bottom. Bottom first. Bottom first, then up on exit. 1 back, 1.5 tops of Tyler here.
It's a chess match. It's just at 185 miles an hour.
The impressive part was he told him to get down, and then while he was down saying on the exit, get up. Anticipating that move. I mean, that's just veteran spotter.
Yep, veteran.
Big gap there, though.
Big block. Slowed that line down. Reddick's starting to have trouble. That outside line deteriorating a little bit. What, 10 laps ago we were saying the bottom was doing that. Here they come back. Huge shot in the back from Blaney into his teammate Logano. Barely got that block off in Keselowski. 15 to go.
And I got to believe Brad truly wants Reddick behind him there. He wants to take a lane away from Logano, take 1 option away from him.
You want to slow that lane down. You want to slow Logano down. You do not want Logano to get up, which he's thinking about doing. Logano probably needs to get up in front of Reddick and capitalize on that outside momentum. The outside line obviously has better momentum.
Larry, laps winding down. What do you see here?
Well, Mike, we ran 2 races on this configuration at Atlanta last year, and the average of the last caution was 8 to go. But the other trend, the first 4 races of this year, we've had 3 overtime finishes.
Wouldn't rule one out here.
A lot of separation, and them leaders. Look at the gap close. Bell. Those are the things you have to be careful of.
Half back, right with you. Watch it doesn't fade.
Oh, it was under him.
Inside.
Got under him.
He's been super strong, Joey has, rolling through the bottom of 1 and 2.
But Keselowski just got a big shove from Tyler Reddick.
Yeah, a lot of gap on that bottom, but here comes Blaney. Outside line is put together a little bit better. I still think they win this battle for now. You see that tighter line on the outside. I think that will slowly prevail. Might give Keselowski that opportunity to get back going with that outside-inside blocking scenario that he's been able to manage with his his spotter, TJ Majors. That's best case scenario for him. Slow that bottom down, Joey Logano, and then utilize that momentum on that outside. Manage that thing. I want to keep Logano on that bottom. I do not want Logano to get on the outside and utilize the momentum, because I know that's where he wants to be.
Yeah, if he ever clears Keselowski, he's gone.
I feel like the two key cars in this equation are the 45 of Reddick on the outside line and the 2 car of Cindric on the inside. Every time that the 12 and the 2 car get separation, it slows that inside line down. Same thing with Reddick. If Reddick loses touch with the 6 car, drags that top line down as well.
Funny thing is, again, listening to that pre-race with Brad Keselowski, he told us he'd actually like to be second place coming to the white flag. May not be the scenario here. You may have to block that second place in that big run that you wanted.
Look how long it's been for the number 6.
Boys, we got us a race here.
10 to go. 23 cars within 1.5 seconds of the leader.
Brad got tied off of 4.
The separation in the Penske cars, haven't seen that this entire stint.
Tires are starting to wear out. Just like I just said, I think Brad got tied off of 4. Reddick just got tied in the wake of him. And I think those cars on the inside, you see Cindric shoving up on the outside. Bowman almost got underneath them because of that. Tires are starting to wear out. Can't stay on the bumper in that wake.
Cindric can't hold the bottom to stay up close to Blaney, to stay up close to Logano.
Need handling here. Need track position. I think.
I can't remember how long it's been since somebody led this race by a car length or more. It's been this close, lap after lap.
These lappers are going to be interesting. As they get around them, that deteriorates that inside line, kind of breaks it up, creates opportunities. Both the outside and inside of the second row, Blaney and Reddick are having trouble staying on the bumper of those leaders. That creates that management. You got to manage that gap. Do not get too far out, either one of those. But you also can't give the advantage to one or the other for that front row. This is a lot of chess match, as you call it, Mike.
Inside door.
And the hard part with 500 horsepower and a tall spoiler, if you lift to try to keep backing up to somebody, it's hard to get it spooled back up.
Now Reddick is there. He gives Keselowski the boot going into turn 1 and pushes him now 2 car lengths ahead of Joey Logano.
Now I feel like Brad has a better opportunity to manage the race now.
Gets a little far out front there, and now Reddick back to him. It'll be 5 laps to go when they come to the line.
The longer they go, the older their tires get. That outside line is definitely been able to, and we saw it yesterday, we saw it last year. The outside line is a preferred line. See it starting to prevail again here. I don't think these Penske cars are done, though. You have the fastest car. That 22 has proven he's the fastest car all day. But that 6 car ain't much behind him. And the 6 car is in the preferred line.
And as you've said all day, the further back you get, the worse that car is going to handle. Question is, will Reddick, Bell, and Hamlin leave this to Keselowski, or do they have a move planned?
Heck no. And they're wanting exactly what's happening. They're wanting that 22 and that inside line to start backing up, to open up the door for that opportunity. When those leaders were side by side, door to door, that opportunity wasn't on the table. It is now. The inside's in trouble, and it's creating this opportunity for these 3 Toyotas to do exactly, Tony, is what Brad was wanting to do. Be in second place where the white flag comes. Be patient here if you're Toyota. But if that inside line gets up there and takes that away from them, you might see them make that move earlier than they want to.
Still side by side behind the 45 bottom, still struggling. 1 back, he's clear by 1.5. 1 back, he's clear by 1.5.
This is going to be, from what I'm seeing, coming to 2 to go. The inside line's deteriorating. These 3 Toyotas are going to be perfect case scenario. It's going to be a big time block if you're Brad Keselowski. Listen to TJ Majors, and if you're Reddick, make your move when it counts. Back up to their teammate and get a massive head of steam.
Every driver in the top 6 has been to victory lane since Keselowski's last win, May of 2021 at Talladega. Here comes Bell.
Bell wasn't going to wait.
Neither's LaJoie.
Corey LaJoie right in the middle there, that number 7.
Coming to white
now
flag.
Behind Logano. White flag, 1 lap to go, sponsored by Credit One Bank.
Pick pick your block here. It's going up. He blocked him, much like we saw.
Outside. You got help coming. Outside, Joey.
Put Logano right on the outside where he wanted to be.
Bell with a big push.
Big push coming bottom.
Now LaJoie to help Keselowski on the bottom. And the car that has led 139 laps today is going to lead 140. Joey Logano dominates Atlanta for Team Penske and Ford.
Wow. Takes me right back. Put him on that outside. Exactly where he wanted to be. Somehow, some way, he found a way to get there. Brad made a good block. There was just too many of them. You got to pick one of them or the other. You heard him talking and managing that all day long. He chose to go with believe it or not, Logano, which was coming on the bottom. And somehow he got to this outside by the time it was all said and done.
And that all started with Bell in turn 3 dropping to the bottom. It created all that havoc and started getting that chain unlinked.
And unlike every
car, guys. Freaking animal of a car. Awesome. Yes! Atlanta!
And unlike every other race this weekend, Craftsman Trucks, Xfinity, the 12 Hours of Sebring, the Cup Series had a clean green flag finish.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. You know, as hard as everybody was pushing, just unbelievable. Hey, Corey LaJoie, 4th place. Big run for them. Eric Jones, 8th. But man, the heartbreak goes to Keselowski. So close for that 6 car in RFK, getting that thing in victory lane that he wanted so bad.
It's the 32nd career win for Joey Logano and his first at Atlanta. He spent 4 years living in a condo above turn 4 here, looking down at this speedway out the window and wondering when, if ever, today.
Today's win, hey, you got to give it to him.
He absolutely did his job, and to get that lead on the bottom like that, I mean, that was impressive. Getting there and then having to switch, get to the top to get around Keselowski to get that win.
You said it. Bell making a move a little bit too early, surprising Reddick. He made the move, created this opportunity. Joey was down and out. Getting into 3, Joey was down and out. As soon as he moved down, afforded him that opportunity with the momentum, cars in front of him. Rest is history. Brad made the block.
Let's have a look at it.
Just gives him, just didn't chase him up far enough. He probably thought that Joey was going to go ahead and tug on the wheel and try to get under him.
Well, and I think he probably thought he stalled him out enough. I thought he stalled him out enough. Now you get to conversation. All right, now who's coming on to listen to what they've been doing? Made that block, stalled him out, get to the next line. Here comes LaJoie on the inside. I think he was looking over his shoulder to make that block, and unfortunately, 22 stayed right there with momentum.
First win of the season for Ford. They break the Chevy stranglehold on victory lane this year, finishing 1, 2, and 7. Toyota 3, 5, and 6. Jamie.
Joey Logano finally gets his first win here at Atlanta, and you just got a big hug. Your dad ran all the way out here to hug you. How did you guys nail this setup of this car? There were so many questions coming into it.
Yeah, first off, it's so special to win Atlanta for me. So many memories of me and my dad racing right here on the quarter mile, and this is the full circle for us. So many memories gritting over there at the Legends car and racing and having a big time and dreaming of going straight at the quarter mile and going on to the big track. That was always a dream to do it, and to finally win here means so much to me personally, but to this race team, the Auto Trader Mustang. This thing was an animal. It was very, very fast, and was able to lead a ton of laps and race really hard there at the end and get a good push from the 20 to clear myself and enough of a push to get all the way to the end. So huge victory. Nice to get one early in the season. It always feels better, but what a great day for us.
Well, you dominated today, but it all came down, obviously, to the decisions you made on those last few laps. Take us through what it's like in this high-speed chess match, the patience, and, you know, the commitment from your spotter to get it done when it counts.
Coleman's amazing. He's the best spotter on the roof by a long shot. He's given me great information the whole time. You know, to be able to make the right moves on the racetrack. He understands it so well. That on top of the car that Paul gave me, just a really special race team to be able to maximize what we had here today. Fast car, great team. Say hey to my wife, my kids at home. Hey guys, we're coming home with a trophy, baby.
Joey Logano wins for the first time this season.
Well, Brad Keselowski comes home in second place. Brad, seemed like you did everything right as the race played out towards the end there. So close at the end.
Yeah, just the bottom run came with a huge run. I don't know how. And I thought I had it blocked, and Joey just kept shaking, and his car didn't stall out. I couldn't get the push down the back. I thought, I'll just get a push down the back, and the 20 car just hauled down there. But great run all in all for RFK 6 Hawaiian Ford Mustang, and we were right there. Glad a Ford won. It was a heck of a battle. You know, the coolest thing about this, Regan, is two veterans showed that you can run a race here side by side, bump drafting, and not wreck the field. I think that's the coolest thing. It can happen if you race respectfully, and I thought everybody did a great job. So we were right there. Proud of my team and the effort. Just not much we could do there.
Definitely great racing there at the end. This race team this season, though, has come so far from a year ago. How much pride does that give you?
Yeah, I mean, night and day from where we were a year ago. 100% Regan. And you just keep running like this, and the good finishes and the wins will hum.
Thanks, Brad.
3 Fords in the top 10, 4 Toyotas, and 3 Chevrolets led by Corey LaJoie at the end of 260 laps. And I love what Brad said. You race with respect, you have a fantastic finish. What more could you ask for?
He did it all. Everything but win. Oh, so close.
Joey Logano, Team Penske, celebrate in Atlanta. Congratulations to Coca-Cola Racing family driver Joey Logano, defending series champ, for his first win at Atlanta. And a big one. First win of the season in his title defense puts him into the playoff picture. "17 drivers finished within 1 second of each other, and unlike any other race this weekend, we had a clean green flag finish, as Brad Keselowski pointed out, racing each other with respect. I loved it. I loved the finish.
Yeah, this racetrack, the changes they made, we all sat there and said, why are they doing this? It was such a great racetrack. It was fun for the drivers. But when you see the racing action like we saw today and see the fans, see how excited they are here, this is an unbelievable race to be at now. You get the best of both worlds. You get super speedway racing, but the best of a mile and a half at the same time.
Well, we saw a lot. Saw a lot of new. Pit road, moving that pit road around, that created opened up a whole new can of worms for us. Saw first green flag pit stop on this configuration. That was wild. And then that ending. Holy cow, does it get any better? A master class for Brad Keselowski, TJ Majors, the blocks, inside, outside, managing those gaps. Everything that they did, we heard that in the radio. That was awesome. But Joey Logano and the Ford camp, the fastest cars won this race today. It's all about competition, folks. And those Fords, 8 out of 10 in qualifying on yesterday, they figured out a way to be there at the end of this race, and they were putting on the display for the win. Joey Logano, unbelievable, wins him another one.
Now, let's not lose sight of the fact that for the second week in a row, a Toyota pushed the winner to victory lane. Last week it was Tyler Reddick. This week it was Christopher Bell with that big shove that enabled Logano to win this on the last lap.
Yeah, and then the Chevrolets too. I mean, there was just so much going on. It's your typical, it's a super speedway. Yeah. But wait a minute, it's kind of not. I dig it.
I think the one thing I like, though, 2 races in a row, Corey LaJoie has got it going on. I guarantee you Atlanta Motor Speedway is now his favorite track for sure.
Well, we're going to hear from him in a second, but first to Regan with Christopher Bell.
Well, Christopher Bell had himself in position at the end of that race. You gave the 22 a huge shot down the back straightaway. Did you think maybe down in 3 and 4 you'd have an opportunity to get around him?
Honestly, I did not. At that point, whenever the 22 and the 6 got side by side, I felt like I lost the race. So
really, I think I screwed up whenever I went to the top. I coming to the white or one of those laps, I boarded on the bottom and went to the top and gave the 22 the bottom, which ultimately got him the lead. So that was disappointing, but ultimately to come home third, I'm super happy with that. Great showing for our DeWalt Camry.
Nice job, Christopher. Thanks.
How about a great feel-good story? Corey LaJoie, once again, we saw you scored as top 5 a year ago, but you did one better. Best career finish of 4th. How good does that feel for this team?
Feels great. It's like this taboo to say, oh, second sucks, fourth sucks. 4th is great. I mean, 4th is great for our Celsius Camaro and our small team. It's a great points day. We started off the year West Coast swing really solid, and to come back here, it's a bit of a crapshoot, but to get another career best here, I don't expect to show up and instantly win a race. You have to just keep putting yourself in these positions like Joey. That's why, he wins all the time, because he's up front all the time. So as I get myself some more confidence, race around these guys see me up there racing with them, our day's going to come.
A great day for Corey LaJoie. So here are the results. Well, Tony, thanks for taking a break from drag racing, coming back with us, and we'll look forward to seeing you at Bristol.
The sad part is I'm going drag racing the next 2 weeks, but I'll see you at Bristol at the dirt. Cannot wait, man. I am excited to see it in person.
Clint, we go road racing next week.
We do. Man, we have some F1 drivers. We got a whole lineup for you guys at that place. Awesome racetrack. Cannot wait to get down there. Texas is a lot of fun. Everything's bigger in Texas, including COTA. It's going to be a wild one.
All right, we're going to pack up and practice right turns for Austin, Texas. And we're going to turn you over to the studio on the other side of this break. What a finish. Joey Logano wins in Atlanta for the very first time. Brad Keselowski, Christopher Bell, Corey LaJoie, Tyler Reddick, the top 5 in Atlanta.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.